Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, we're going to be learning finger-picking etude number 24. So this etude is all about helping you develop your hammer-on and pull-off technique. Now, with that said, this isn't a lesson that teaches the mechanics behind executing both of those techniques. If that's what you're looking for, you want to click this link right here, and I'll put a link in the description box below if you want to recap on the fundamentals. But that lesson is going to teach how to do hammer-ons and pull-offs, and it's got a few exercises that you can run through to help you get the new technique under your fingers, so to speak. So this etude instead is for those of you who understand the basics of it and are looking for a piece of music that uses it extensively. Because I think the best way to really start to learn techniques is to actually put it into a musical performance. That just makes it way more fun and more exciting to practice instead of just exercise after exercise and so forth. You get the idea. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, we're going to be learning the entire etude. Now, if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, you can do so by clicking this link or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for, you can literally type 24, or you can type finger-picking etude number 24. All of those will pull up the lesson page. Now, also on that page will be the on-screen tab viewer. This is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tabs scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright, so before we jump into learning this etude, there's a couple of things we want to talk about. The first thing is written for low G. You can play it on a high G, but it's going to sound a bit better on a low G. So I'd recommend grabbing the low G. But if you don't have one, no worries, you can still play the tune. The second thing I want to talk about is our right hand approach for finger picking. Now, this song is going to be a little bit unique. So we have 4 sections that this etude is comprised of. So we have an intro, then we have theme 1, theme 2, and theme number 3. At the beginning of every section, I'm going to highlight what right hand picking approach we're going to be using. So it's going to kind of differ for each section, and there's actually a really interesting piccato picking technique that we're going to employ in theme 1, but we'll touch on that when we get there. So as far as the intro is concerned, there's only 4 measures for the intro, very simple and short little section. And for the intro, we're going to be using a 4-finger approach for finger picking. So that means your thumb gets string 4, index would get string 3, middle gets string 2, and ring, of course, gets string number 1. So let's do this. Let me play a little bit of this intro, and then we'll break it down and learn it. Okay, so I lied. I played the entire intro, so very short and sweet. So here's the first thing that you notice. This song is largely playing out of the G minor chord. So let's go ahead and make this chord shape. I think at this point in our playing, if you're tackling this song's probably a great seasoned beginner, budding on the intermediate level. So I think most of us know how to make this, if not the chord graph is up there. Now here's the thing with this chord. If you haven't seen our video and article on proper left-hand form, take a couple minutes and just review this really quick. There's 2 forms that it covers. Now, form number 1 is basically this U-shaped gap. So when you're fretting this G minor chord, you want to employ form number 1 for this entire intro. Now that differs from form number 2. Form number 2 has you supporting the neck with your index finger. So anytime you're playing stuff that requires like open strings, or if you have a lot of movement, watch that index finger. You can see that the index finger stabilizes the neck. Okay? But for this first part, we have to use the other form, form number 1. You can see the index finger does not touch the bottom of the neck right there. This will allow us enough dexterity and room and motion, basically, to do the pull-off with our index finger. So it's really important that you use form number 1 for this first section, okay? So if you haven't studied it, go check that out. I'll put it in the description box below, but it's really, really important that you use the right form for this first section. And when we get into theme number 1, we're going to use both forms, but we'll talk about that when we get there. All right, so go ahead and make the G minor. And literally, we're playing straight up out of eighth notes, so you can see all the rhythm hits. And we're going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... It's a very linear finger picking pattern. So remember, 4-finger approach. We're going to go thumb, index, middle, ring. Just straight down, string 4, 3, 2, 1. When you get there, you're going to pull off. So we see our first little pull off, and that's going to pull off to the open A string. So we have 4, 3, 2, 1, pull off. Now make sure you don't rush the pull off. We want to keep that timing steady. So eighth notes means that every note lasts the same duration. So 1 and 2 and 3. Nice. After that, play string 2, string 3, and then back to string 2. And that gives you the pattern. 4, 3, 2, 1, pull off, 2, 3, 2. Okay, so let's see if you and I can try that one together, and I'll count us in. 3, 4. Awesome. So a very simple, easy start for this intro. Now, keeping out of that same exact chord shape, the next measure will sound like this. It's got quite a few pull-offs in a row. Okay, so we're going to start with the open G, and then we're going to play the first fret. So we have to put that finger back down, right? So you put it back down as if it's the stock G minor chord. So you hit the 4th string, then you play the 1st string and do a pull off. You're going to repeat that again. So hit the 4th string again, put it back down, do a pull off, 1 to 0. So literally 2 times in a row. So you have O pull off, O pull off. Okay? Then to finish it up, you're going to do the open G and just play the 1st fret of the 1st string. So put it back down, no pull off. So the same rhythm, we have all eighths, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's you and I try together. 3, 4. Nice. So if we try this now, let's backtrack. Let's try 1 into 2. Here we go. 3, 4. Nice. Now, when we jump into our third measure, you're going to notice something. It's identical to the first measure. So let's skip over that one because we already know it. And let's look at measure number 4. Measure number 4 is almost identical to measure number 2. It's just cuts short halfway through. So we're going to basically play the first part the same. Open, pull off 1 to 0. Back to open, but instead of another pull off, you're going to take that pinky and you're going to put it underneath your ring finger. So you're going to put it on the 3rd fret of string 1, and that's going to be a half note. So if I play this measure together in its entirety, it sounds like this. And if I count, I have 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so very simple. Let's give it a shot. 3 and 4 and. Cool. Now if we backtrack, I think we can tackle this entire section. So let's try 1 through 4. 3 and 4 and. Done. Nice. So when you're practicing, make sure you practice counting that half note. So just don't sustain and stop. You want to make sure that you practice going 1 and 2 and 3, 4 into the next section. It's a great way to work on timing. So don't ignore the last hits or any lengthy notes like that. So that's basically it. With this song too, you can play it slow, you can play it medium speed, you can play it really fast. So it's another great thing you can pull from it is just working on building a bit of speed. And I think it sounds probably best at the tempo that I did the performance at. It's kind of like a medium speed. So not super fast. You don't have to go da 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 da. Right? Try to aim for a little bit of a medium kind of tempo. I think it's around 130 BPM, somewhere around there. All right, so going into theme number 1, let's talk about our right hand approach. So the right hand approach is going to be kind of unique in this section. So if I play a little bit, I want you to watch my right hand, and I'm going to be doing what's called picado picking. Picado picking literally just means that we're alternate picking, but we lead with the middle finger. So if I play just on the A string, that's all it is. So you can try with me, just alternate picking, but start with the middle finger. Open, 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 right? So A, and so forth. Now you may be wondering, why are we doing picado picking? Well, the answer is really simple. If you look at using one finger, let's say we're going to use a thumb. A lot of us like to play with the thumb. If we do that same, just the open A string, look at how much effort I have to do with my thumb. It's just like that, right? Now if you contrast that, you can do that 1,000 times faster, and it's a lot less work on your right hand than just going down, 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 down. So the question is, when do we know when to use picado picking versus just doing like a one finger approach? Well, the answer is really simple. Anytime you have a melodic line where you see melody notes, multiple melody notes that fall onto one string. Here's a really good example. This song I think most of us know. So we have Bach's Bourrée, right? Da 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 do da da do da 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 do ba 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 da 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 da. So with that one, you can see multiple melody notes. 3 notes in the first phrase, 3 notes in the second phrase, but you see the first 3 all in the same string. Then the first 2 out of 3, same first string. Right? So anytime you have a string of notes that fall onto one string, then that's when you kind of want to start to think, maybe I should employ picado picking because it's really efficient way to finger pick, and I can build a lot of speed easier that way than going down, 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 down. So if you're new to picado picking, it was a technique that I explained in much more detail in this lesson. I'll put it somewhere here. It's called La Gitanita. It's a flamenco tune. It also teaches you this really cool rasgueado strum, which is a 4-finger barrel strum. So check out that lesson if you want to deep dive into picado picking more. And if you want to learn that little bourrée, whoops, and so forth. We taught that lesson as a duet alongside the U bass in that lesson. All right, so now that we have an idea of the picado picking and how to use it, let's go ahead and jump into learning this theme. And to do so, I'm going to play the first couple bars just to give us a context of the music. So that's what it sounds like. Now, we're noticing that we're playing out of that G minor chord. And here's the thing. This song is going to start, this entire 5th measure is going to be using form number 1. So we're continuing with that U-shaped gap. So keep that in mind. We're going to switch to form number 2 in measure 6 on beat 2. But we'll talk about that in just a second. So keep form 1 intact. Now our picking pattern is going to be thumb, index, middle, thumb. So I'm going string 4, string 3, string 2, string 3 with the thumb. So that's how we're going to kick off this tune. So 4, 3, 2, 3. Thumb, index, middle, thumb. Okay, all 8th notes, right? Let's try that. 3 and 4 and. Awesome. Now at this point, you're going to jump into picado picking. So watch my right hand. I'm going to do picado picking for every note that is plucked. So in between all this hammer-on and pull-off stuff, every note that is plucked, will either be the middle, then to the index, to the middle, to the index, and so forth, alternate picking. Okay, so keep that in mind as you work throughout it. You alternate pick with piccato. So to start us off on beat 3, start with the middle finger to pluck it. You're going to do 1 to 0 on that first string. Then you're going to play the second string, which is the 3rd fret. At this point, lift that ring finger up, put the index down on the 1st fret, string 2, play that note. That's going to be the last note for the 5th measure. So if we start on beat 3, second half of the 5th measure, that's what we end up with. Let's just try that. So pull off 3, 1, right? Start with the middle. 1 and 2 and. Nice. So backtrack, entire measure. 3 and 4 and. Nice. Now at this point, we're still keeping this form number 1 intact. We're going to start with a pull off. That's going to lead us into our 6th measure. So as you work on getting this song down, what you really want to do is you want to approach 2 bars at a time. That completes 1 musical phrase. So I wouldn't really recommend, once you initially learn it, just to practice 5 by itself, 6 by itself. Practice 5 and 6 as a whole. That completes the musical phrase. Going to make a lot more sense as you work through it. So keep that in mind. So with that said, we really kind of want to start this where we left off. So we left off playing that 1st fret on string 2. That was the last note of the 5th measure. We used the middle finger. So I want you just to pluck that note and do a pull off to the open. That open is our first hit for this 6th measure. But to make it a little bit more sense, let's pluck 1, do a pull off to the open. At this point, you're going to use the index finger to play the 2nd fret. So that 2nd fret, or the 2nd finger, it has not moved. It stayed anchored throughout all of measure 5 going into measure 6. So keep that in mind as well. So again, starting on the end of 4, we do a 1 to 0. Then use the index to play the 2nd fret on string 3. Lift it up, we're going to do a hammer-on. Okay, now watch my index finger. When I get to that open hammer-on, that's beat 2 and the end of 2. That's when I'm going to switch to form number 2. So form number 2 supports the neck, gives me stabilization so it doesn't fall down. So watch as I play 5 into 6. Form 1 into form 2. Form 2 switches on beat 2 of bar 6. Right, so you can see when I hit that open for beat 2, I switched to form number 2. Okay, so they're really important. Now throughout the remainder of measure 6, you're staying in form 2. Okay, so keep that in mind. The rest of this measure, we're staying in form number 2. So again, let's start on the pull off. So we have 1st and 2nd down, 1 to 0, 2nd, open, switch to form 2, hammer on, back to 2nd. Okay, that gives us the first half of measure 6. So starting on the end of 4, 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and... Awesome. Now to finish up the second half of this 6th measure, we're going to do a double hammer-on. So we're going to play the open E, go ahead and hammer on to the 1st fret, and then to the 3rd fret. So O, 1, 3, and our last note is going to be the A string. Okay, so we have hammer, 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 open A. Nice. And if we think about our right hand, we had middle, index, middle, index, middle. Okay? So let's see if we can try this. Let's see if we can start on the end of 4 and complete the entire 6th measure. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Nice. Now remember, the thing with the hammer-ons and the pull-offs is that you want the attack to have the same volume as if it sounded like you were plucking it. So make sure you go with enough force when you hammer on, and same for the reverse. when you do a pull off, make sure you have enough force that notes are ringing clear as if you were to pluck every note. So with that down, let's try 5 into 6, and this is how I would practice this. So 5 into 6, 3, 4. Nice. So starting to sound like some beautiful music, and we've got two things going on. We've got piccato picking, and we've also got form 1 switching into form 2. So keep those in mind as you work throughout this and get it down. Now, here's the cool thing. As I jump into the second half, this is measure 7 and 8. This is ending 1 for theme 1. So 7 is identical to measure 5. And I played into that first hit of measure 8. Now measure 8 is almost identical to measure 6, but instead of ending here with the melody, we're going to end lower to get a nice little variation. So I'll start on the end of 4 for measure 7 and play measure 8 so you can hear what it sounds like. Okay, and if we backtrack 7 into 8, gives us a better context, right? It's kind of very abrupt starting on just one measure. So again, I just want to state that. I know I've stated it a few times, but practice 2 bars at a time makes so much more sense. So we're going to start with the end of beat 4 for measure 7. So it's a pull off 1 to 0. Remember, start with the middle finger. Then go to the second fret of string 3, play that note. And then this time around, instead of just doing open to second for a hammer-on, we're actually going to go hammer-on, pull off. So O to O. So there's our variation. O to O. Okay? To finish it up, you're going to use your thumb to play 3 and then the open G. So you may be wondering why we're not doing a pull off there. Well, when you play plucked notes, it has more strength to the note. So this sounds stronger than that. It just sounds more abrupt for an ending, like a conclusive ending, no questions asked kind of thing, right? So that's why we're going to do 2 down plucks with the thumb to end it. So again, starting on the end of 4 for measure 7 with the middle, pull off 2, open 3, O. Okay, remember alternate picking till you get to string 4 with the thumb. So let's try together. 3 and 4. Nice. So backtrack. Let's try 5 into 8 now. 3 and 4 and... Nice. So at this point, what you're going to be doing is you're going to go back, you're going to play 5 and 6 again, and then you're going to ending number 2, which is measure 9 and measure 10. Sounds like this. Okay, so this breaks us out of the patterns that we have been doing. So we're going to actually start without doing piccato picking. So we're going to go open G, take the ring finger, put it on the 3rd fret of string 1, do a pull off to the open A, hit the open G again, then put the index on the 1st fret of string 1, do a pull off to the open A. So you have O, 3, O, O, 1, O. And to finish up the measure, open G one more time, and then take the index, put it on the 1st fret of string 2. So together, all eighths. Okay, so pretty simple. Let's try together. 3 and 4 and... Nice. Now going into our 10th measure, it's going to sound like this. Okay, and again, I would recommend practicing 9 into 10 as a complete phrase once you get it down. Right, sounds much more musical that way. But 10 by itself, you're going to start with a open to 1st to open. So it's a little hammer-on pull-off, but it's a quick one. So you can see our rhythm changes right there. So you want to go very fast. Okay, after that, you're going to take the middle, put on the second fret of string 3, play the open E, and then lift up, play the open C, and then 2 thumbs, 3rd, open G. So putting it together, you have. Okay, so I probably lead with the middle. You can go back to piccato picking for this one. And then end with a thumb for the 2 hits on string 4. So middle, index, thumb, thumb. Okay, so with these 2 bars, we also want to talk about our form. Stick in form number 2 for both of these. Okay, so let's try 10 by itself. So we have 1E and 2 and 3 and 4. So here we go, 3 and 4 and 1E and 2 and 3 and 4. Awesome. If we backtrack, let's try 9 into 10. 3 and 4 and fast. Nice. So that is going to be your second ending. So if I cycle through all of theme number 1, this will give you a context of what it sounds like in its entirety. So the big key takeaways is you want to be thinking rhythmically, it's pretty much all 8th notes, so almost the entirety. The second thing you want to be thinking about is when you're in form 1 and when you're in form 2. You start out in form 1. When you get to beat 2 of the next measure, you jump to form number 2. Then you revert back to form number 1. As you guessed, you revert back to form number 2. Okay, then for the 9th measure and the 10th measure, you just stick in form 2. Okay, so that is everything. I think theme 1 is probably the most difficult. That's why we spent a lot of time on it. The rest of the song I think is very straightforward. So let's go ahead and jump into our next section. This is going to be theme number 2. And I'll go ahead and play a little bit of it, and then we'll break it down and learn it. It's much easier to play. It sounds like this. Okay, so really cool movement because we're introducing a few other chords into the mix, so we get a little bit more harmony in this section. So our first chord we're starting out with is a B major 7. So let's make this chord shape. So it's basically that stock E minor chord. If you make that shape, you move it directly up a string and then down a half step. This will lead you into B flat major 7. 3, 2, 1, open A. Okay. Our right hand, we can do either a 4-finger approach like we covered in the first part, the intro, or we can do the 3-finger. Thumb would get string 4 and string 3. Index would get string 2. Middle gets string 1. It's up to you on which one you want to use. Both work great for this section. So for the first part, let's play just this 11th measure, and then I'll break it down and show you how to play it. Sounds like this. Awesome. So all 8th notes, we're going to go 4, 3, 2, 3. That's the first half. 4, 3, 2, 3. The second half is going to go 1, 2, 3, 2. So again, 1, 2, 3, 2. So first half into second half. So 4, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. All out of that chord, no hammer-ons, no pull-offs. Let's give it a shot. 3, 4. Nice. Switch to the stock F chord, one we all know and love. Now, this measure, I'm teaching you a little bit different than what I played in the performance. The performance, sometimes you get into the performance and you don't think about playing it note for note as you wrote the composition. But that leads us into an interesting point. You can play what I'm teaching you right here, or if you are a premium member, you can access that on-screen tab viewer, and you can take a look at the 12th measure there, and if you like that little variation, you can play that one. Either one works. But this one I think sounds really cool, so let's learn it. It sounds like this. Awesome. So with this one, I'm going to start walking straight down. I'm going to go 4, 3, 2. At this point, I'm going to take that pinky. You can use the ring finger if you want, but I think it's an awkward stretch. I'm going to use the pinky finger for the 3rd fret of string 1 and do a pull off. And then I'm going to walk my way back up, 2nd, 3rd, 2nd. Okay, so I have 4, 3, 2, put it down, pull off, 2, 3, 2, all 8th notes. Now both of these chords have been using form number 1, so keep that in mind as well. So you have 4, 3, 2, pull off, 2, 3, 2. Now here's another really interesting point. Even though that chord diagram shows it like this, you don't actually have to make all 3 fingers from the get-go. You only add the pinky at the time it's needed. So if I play through this, you can see that I only added the pinky when the music called for it. So that's the end of beat 2. Okay? So don't feel like you have to go from B flat major 7 to this F at the get-go. Not true at all. So let's try that 12th measure. It's very simple. 3 and 4 and. Nice. Now, into our next couple measures, we're back to G minor. Okay, so that's what it sounds like. So let's break it down. So make this full stock G minor. You're going to go 4, 3, 2, 3. Then you're going to do a pull off 1 to 0 on the 1st string, play the 2nd and the 3rd string. So 4, 3, 2, 3, pull off 2, 3. Let's try together. 3, 4. Nice. Going into the last measure, sounds like this. Just a repetitive pattern. So we're going to go 1, pull off, 2nd string, 3rd string. 1st, pull off, 2nd string, 3rd string. That's simple. 2 times in a row. 3, 4. Okay, and again, this you want to practice 2 bars at a time, gives you that musical phrase. So let's try 13 to 14. 3, 4. Nice. And if we backtrack, let's try that entire 4 bars. 3, 4. Cool. So again, don't want to repeat myself too much, but very important to state, all of this 4 bars have been in form number 1. So that's going to repeat. You're going to play those 4 measures 2 times in a row, note for note, identical, nothing changes. Then you're going to add a couple more measures to finish it up. So this is what it sounds like if I just cycle through theme 2. Repeat. New. So let's start at 15. So it's going to sound like this. Okay, so we have 1 pull off to the open, 3rd, that's all the same we did before. Then take that index finger, put it on the 1st fret of string 2, pull off to the open, and then play the 2nd fret of string 3, pull off to the open. So you have 1, 0, 3, 1, 0, 2, 0. So it's really important that you keep that G minor intact. because you're playing out of all those notes. So you want to keep that intact. You don't want to go, right? It's easier just to have everything held down already. So this measure by itself, 1, 0, 3, 1, 0, 2, 0. Okay, let's try that. 3 and 4 and nice. Now here's where it gets a little bit hard. We're going to take the index finger, put it on the 3rd fret of string 4. Pinky is an octave up, 6th fret of string 2. You're going to pluck both of those notes, and you're going to slide down to the 3rd fret with your pinky, while your index finger just lifts up. So while my index finger lifts up, you can hear a little bit of that G ring out. Okay, so the index isn't going like an actual slide down. It's basically just going to pluck and then lift up. Okay, so you have 3 and 6, slide down to the 3rd fret. That's going to end us. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, so let's try that. 3 and 4 and. Awesome. Now if you want to make the last part easier, just forget about string number 2 entirety. You can just go just all on string 4. 3, 0. You can do that for the last couple notes if you want to make it easy. But that last part, when you end on it, just do a little fermato. Hold it for as long as you want. So if we backtrack, all of theme 2 in its entirety sounds like this. So really cool section. So going into our last theme, theme number 3, I think is the easiest part. So we're not really playing out of any chord work here, we're just kind of playing single notes basically. So it sounds like this. So let's tackle that. So it's basically vamping between the 4th string and the 3rd string. So take your index finger, put on the 2nd fret of string 3. We're going to be alternating between the open G and playing that 2nd fret of string 3. That's the entire 17th measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's it. So I'm just going to use thumb and middle finger. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So very simple. Let's jump into the 18th measure. Sounds like this. So we've got some work cut out for us from this one. So play the open G, then you're going to play the 2nd fret again, but pull off to the open C. So we have O, 2, O, then play the 3rd fret of string 4, and then the 2nd fret, but pull off. So you have O, 2, O, 3, 2, O. Cool, let's try that. 3, 4, O, 2, O, 3, 2, O. To finish it up, 2nd, 3rd. So pluck both notes, ending strong. Same theme we talked about. Pluck, pluck, end strong. Okay, so a couple ways you can approach playing this. You can go into that piccato for string 4, everything on string 4, or you can play with the thumb. So I'll leave it up to you. I think piccato is easiest, but that's just my preference. I think either works fine for this. So again, O, 2, O, 3, 2, O, 2, 3. Let's try. 3, 4. Nice. And backtrack 17 to 18. 3 and 4 and. Nice. So 19 and 20, that's going to be ending number 1. 19 is identical to 17, just vamping between the G and the D note. And then 20 sounds like this. So we've got a little pull-off action happening. So play with the open G, that starts us off. Take the middle, put it on 5, and take the index, put it on 4 on string 3. So you're going to go open, pull off, open, pull off, open. Then take the pinky, put it on 7 on string 3. Oh, pull off, oh, sev. So let's give that a shot. 3, 4. Nice. And if we backtrack, we'll try that 19 into 20th measure. 3 and 4 and... Nice. So remember, that is ending number 1. So we have the first half of theme number 3. It sounds like this. So let's give that a shot. So all 4 measures. So here we go. 3, 4. Nice. So at this point, you're going to go back, you're going to do 17 and 18 again. And then you're going to go into 21 and 22. That'll be the last 2 bars to learn for the tune, which sound like this. A really cool, strong ending for this tune. So start with the open G. Take the ring finger, put it on 7 on string 3. We're going to do a pull off, sev to 5. So your index will be the 5th fret. Oh, sev, 5. At this point, hit the open G. Go back to 5, 4. We're going to do that same pull off. So second to index finger, just like we did previously. So you have oh, sev, 5, oh, 5, 4. Right? So you can see the index finger is the one that's leading us going down. So let's try that together. 3, 4. Oh, sev, 5, oh, 5, 4. Okay, now at this point, you're going to go down a whole step, hit the open G, play the 2nd fret. And that's going to be a pull-off leading us into the last measure. So if we think about it in the context, we have oh, sev, 5, oh, 5, 4, oh, 2, oh. Okay, let's try that. 3, 4. Nice. Now to finish up, this is the last measure, 22. Play the 2nd fret of string 3. Then we're going to do 3 notes in a row. 3rd, 2nd, open on the G string. So again, this is what you want to put into the musical context. You want to practice 21 and 22 as a whole. Oh, sev, 5, oh, 5, 4, oh, 2, oh, 2, 3, 2, oh. Makes so much more sense. So let's see if we can try that together. 3, 4. Oh, sev, 5, oh, 5, 4, oh, 2, oh, 2, 3, 2, oh. Awesome. And that gives you all of theme 3. So if I play through theme 3, it gives us a context of what we just learned. Nice. And you probably noticed too that I'm using form 2 throughout all of that. So we have just a lot of open string pull off action and just open G vamps. So, and movement. So anytime you have movement, you want to use form 2. So the index is stabilizing the neck. But that's it. So practice slow. Remember, 2 bars at a time makes a complete phrase. That's how I'd approach learning this. And at this point, you're just going to go ahead and you jump back into theme number 1 and you play those 8 measures again, identical to a T, and that ends the tune. So guys, this one was a lot of fun. We have quite a great concept that we had dived into, actually two concepts. We dived into using form 1 and form 2, learning which one works best depending on the context of what we're playing. And we also worked on piccato picking, using that to build speed and knowing when to use that. Anytime we have a string of single note melody lines that all fall onto one string. So there was really two big takeaways, I think, from this etude, besides the obvious, hammer-on pull-off work. So I think that was pretty much the coolest part about this tune. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I do want to remind you that you can get the tabs to print off and keep for your records by clicking this link or going to the site rockclass101.com and doing a search for fingerpicking etude number 24. Don't forget, on that page is the really cool interactive tab player, so you can hit play, watch that tab scroll across in real time, highlight bars, loop sections, slow down, all that fun jazz. So guys, again, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.